Hey Browns fans, Nathan Zegura here, welcoming you into another victory edition of X's and Joe's, brought to you by Keep It Fun Ohio. Today I am joined by the Hop, the Gold Jacket, the one and only Joe Thomas, as we dive into the film room to take a look at some of the big plays in the Browns' win over the Indianapolis Colts, a 39-38 shootout. And Hop, before we get into the plays, were you able to exhale after that game? A huge one to get the Browns to 4-2.
I had to set up a doctor's appointment to check my heart this week because that was one of the most exhilarating, exciting, with a happy ending Browns games that I've ever seen in my entire life. Even ones that I was involved with. I don't feel like the heart rate got up as much as it did against the Colts.
And you could have thought maybe it was going to be easy because on the opening drive, Jerome Ford would go 69 yards to the house. The Browns are taking early 7-0 lead. So let's take a look at that play and see how it happens. The Browns are in a shotgun formation. They have got Jerome Ford on the left hip of Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper wide to the bottom of your screen. At the top, you've got Elijah Moore. You have got David Njoku, and kind of in a wing position, Donovan Peoples-Jones. And so as this play unfolds, what you're going to see are two of the guys at the top of your screen come to the other side. One is going to be Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's going to come down, and he actually has to block the defensive end who is unblocked, as you see him do it there. And then on the other side, it's Elijah Moore coming around with a fake for a reverse. But the Browns do hand it off here, Joe. And Jerome Ford, that little stutter, and then he's gone. And when we take a look at it from the end zone camera, you're going to tell the people why that was such a big deal.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on in this play, but the key to this play and why it works is Jerome Ford right here. Once he gets going on the inside zone track, you're going to watch the player that Joel Bitonio is blocking is two-gapping. And what you need to do when you get inside zone is to define the read and get those guys in one gap or the other. And so what Jerome Ford does, he puts the brakes on, he puts his right foot in the ground, and he acts like he's going to cut back so that nose guard that's blocking or being blocked by Joel Bitonio feels like he can fall off and make the play. As soon as he does that, he now becomes a one-gap player. Jerome's able to quickly stick his left foot in the ground and work back to the front side of the zone where there's a huge seam, and then he's able to turn on the burners and make his way all the way into the Colts end zone.
Yeah, and you saw that alley, and that was formed by Wyatt Teller on the right and David Njoku getting total seals on their guys. And then Joel Bitonio, as you mentioned, that defensive tackle falls off, and Ethan Posick had gotten to the second level and got that Mike linebacker. And now this is a play that needed a lot of time because you had to get Donovan Peoples-Jones across the formation before Jerome Ford got the ball and without them colliding, because otherwise that defensive end could have come right down the line and made the play. And in fact, in practice, the first time they ran this, the timing was off, and DPJ wasn't able to get over there before the ball was handed off, and so it was an easy play for the defensive end. So they lined it up again, they ran it again, got that timing down, and you can see the fruits of that. But how common is that when a play like this has so many moving parts to kind of have to really work a couple times maybe to get that timing down? And I'll tell you what, the reward, a 69-yard house call, certainly was worth it.
Yeah, this is why inches matter so much in offensive football. And this is why they go through so many walkthroughs during the week. It's because when Donovan Peoples-Jones is just a couple inches wider, he's going to run right into Jerome Ford. You can see when you watch the play how close they are to running into each other. But Donovan Peoples-Jones does a great job. He's actually even a little bit tighter, just a few inches tighter than a normal wing formation, but that's what gives him the time and space to be able to get across the formation with this away block out of that bunch formation to the right side that you're looking at, to be able to make the timing look seamless and for somebody at home to not even notice what's going on. But props to Donovan Peoples-Jones. We got to remember, he's a receiver basically playing the tight end position, going all the way across the formation to block a defensive end and doing a great job doing it. So for us to have receivers like Donovan Peoples-Jones that are willing to stick their shoulders in there and block big people, it makes a humongous difference, because now what this allows you to do is, instead of having your receiver at the point in the bunch formation, you're able to have David Njoku at the point of that bunch, who's now going to be the front side blocker on your run play, who's able to stay with his block. It's a much better matchup for us on offense to be able to have David Njoku blocking one of their secondary elements at the front side. And that's really what's key once you get to the second level, to be able to take this, because if you have a receiver in David Njoku's position, you don't expect him to be able to hold his block the way David does.
Now that was a very special play. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know that we've seen a play as special as what we're about to show you right now, Hoffman. Myles Garrett, you knew it from the first time you lined up against him that he was a different kind of athlete. Well, if the world didn't know, they certainly found out on Sunday.
The first time I lined up against Myles, I realized that this is a different character. This is a guy that is unlike anybody that I've ever seen before. When you talk about size, speed, athleticism, power, and explosiveness, there's nobody that I've ever been on a football field that can compare to Myles Garrett. And when we watch him on this play, he's lining up less than 1 yard off the football. He's actually in a normal alignment when it comes to blocking a kick, which is important because if you line up more than 1 yard off the line of scrimmage, you're going to get called for a personal foul for leaping over the field goal block, no matter if you touch them or not. So it's important that he lines up at the line of scrimmage.
I want to go back and take a look at this. So he's in that set. To his right is Shelby Harris. So watch, Shelby Harris gets on top of Quentin Nelson, and then there goes Air Myles over the top. Outrageous hop. I mean, this is insane.
It's impossible. Even watching it back, I don't believe that this actually happened, because if you understand too, in the NFL rules, if he touches or they touch him at all, those guys that are blocking on the field goal block, it's a penalty again. So he can't line up more than 1 yard away from the line of scrimmage. And as he's leaping over them, they can't touch him or he can't touch them, or it's a penalty. So to be able to do all of this, it's obviously everybody together, right? Shelby Harris being able to take Quentin Nelson and knock his shoulder pads down, but the freakish athleticism of a guy like Myles Garrett to be able to, from a standstill, jump over a couch with height and distance and not allow anybody to touch him. It's impossible. I don't know if I'll ever see this again in my entire NFL life, because this is so improbable and so spectacular that we really can't highlight it enough. The freakish nature of Myles Garrett and his athleticism and ability to jump over these guys. But then don't forget, once he hits the ground, he's hitting the ground with a lot of force, because it took a lot of force to go up in the air. So there's a lot of force coming down. And then to be able to quickly return that force to another vertical jump, it's unheard of. Never happened before, might never happen again.
You're right. It was a 101. And guess what? It was a huge play, and it was a monster contributor to the Browns' win, as were Myles' 2 sack strip fumbles, one of which was recovered for a touchdown by Tony Fields. He had 9 tackles. He did something in a game, blocking the kick, the 2 sacks, the 2 strip fumbles, that had not been done in the National Football League by anyone since 1991. And if you're doing the math really quickly in your head, you know that Myles Garrett wasn't even born in 1991. So he is doing things that are historic in nature. And I guess, you know, when you think about a guy who's 6'5", 275, made out of muscle half, doing 6'4" box jumps, which he does. We saw those videos. You're right. Humans are not supposed to be able to do that. I'm glad he's on our team.
I'm glad he's on our side. And I'm glad I don't have to block him in practice anymore.
All right, folks. That will do it for this edition of X's and Joe's. An unbelievable play on offense. All 11 working together. And then Myles Garrett's singular greatness on that field goal block, with an assist, of course, from the guys next to him, keeping those linemen down. But hopefully we'll be back with another winning edition of X's and Joe's. For Joe Thomas, Nathan Zegura saying thanks for watching. X's and Joe's brought to you by Keep It Fun, Ohio.